let's make sure that as much as possible, when we argue, we look for overlapping values that the different moral frameworks have. There are overlapping values. And as much as possible, argue to a person from a different moral framework within their framework. So, for example, Charles Taylor, the philosopher, wrote an article some years ago called An Unforced Consensus on Human Rights. And he says, if you're going to Thailand and you're trying to make a case that you need to be stronger on human rights, you don't say, why don't you become secular like us? He says, you go into Buddhism and say, are there resources inside the Buddhist moral framework for human rights? He thinks there are. Instead of just saying, well, when you Easterners become secular and enlightened like us Westerners, which, by the way, is an incredible imperialism, it says, if you do that, of course, all their people are going to do is put up walls. Instead, when you argue, look for overlapping consensus and look, if you're going to argue within their moral framework. Say, I know what your framework is, and so why don't you see this?